Hi guys, are you an ESL teacher from a Chinese ESL company or an applicant na malapit ng maging isang um, part-time or full-time ESL teacher? Or isang tao na gustong mag-change ng profession at gustong i-try maging ESL teacher? If ang answer mo ay yes sa mga katanungang ito, this video is for you. Stay tuned!
Lately, I've been bombarded with so many questions concerning a very hot issue which is ruling around the ESL community nowadays. Among these questions that have been asked are, what is this policy? What triggers the Chinese government to enact the policy? What will happen to the Filipino teachers? Is this temporary or permanent? Are ESL companies closing? And will there be a mass termination of teachers? And a lot more. Because I was asked to explain my thoughts and ideas, or maybe some of my opinions concerning this matter, I decided to make this video to express more and to explain some of the knowledge, that I've known, and those things that they told me. I don't want anyone to make some speculations and to drop some negative comments against your company and the Chinese government. For tonight, I categorized the topics that I will be discussing into 4 points. The first one, what is the trigger point of the policy's implementation, or what is the background surrounding the making of this policy? What are the provisions that have direct impact to the ESL community? What are the possible scenarios in the aftermath of the policy, alongside with the future action or maybe some contingency plans for teachers, which we can devise in order for us to be safe and secured when the full implementation of this policy will come. Now, without further ado, let's proceed to the background of the promulgation of the said policy. Now, according to this policy, the main reason that the CSC saw while they need to make a policy or need a state intervention is the aging population. Now, how can we relate this problem of an aging population to that of the enactment of the policy? Now, let's go back to the history of China. Prior to 1979, there was a rapid increase of birth rate in China, and their leaders were so afraid that they will reach an overpopulation stage, and because of that, they made this very well known policy, which is called the one-child policy, and they actually implemented this in 1980. So starting from 1980 until 2015, according to records, we saw a tremendous decrease when it comes to the birth rate in China. However, like I said, in 2015, nagkaroon sila ng panibagong problema. And what is this problem? Nakikita nila na talagang sobrang kokonti na lang ang mga youngster. Mas madami na ngayon ang mga matatanda as compared to the young ones. Okay? So, because of that, nagkaroon sila ng abolishment of the one-child policy. Sabi nila, sige, i-abolish na natin yung one-child policy, and we will now allow households or families to have 2 kids, no? And pwede nang mga anak ulit ng isa pa, magiging 2. And in 2 years' time, 2017, pwede nang magkaroon ng 3 anak sa isang family. Okay, and eventually, maililift yung restrictions as to the number of children that will be born in a family. However, in 2016, a year after the implementation of the two-child policy, it marked, the lowest birth rate ever in the history of China. Okay? Imagine mo, they already lifted, the one-child policy. Pero the following year, nagkaroon pa rin ng very low birth rate. And because of the government made a study, sabi nila, oh, we need to look into this problem. Okay, so they made a study, and from that study, they discovered na ang mga parents ay hindi dahil sa palisiya na ayaw na nilang magkaroon ng anak, kundi sa ibang factors. Okay, the main reason, according to the parents, is actually the cost of living, yung very expensive housing at saka yung healthcare, and at the same time, a very expensive education. Okay, so they actually tried to go deeper, no, as to the education problem. And na-discover nga nila na isa sa mga pinagkakagastusan ng mga parents ay ang mga tutorial services. Okay, they realized na, oh, no, napaka expensive pala ng mga private tutorial institutions. The reason actually why they made this law.
Now, what is this policy all about? This policy is called Policy 720. It was issued on July 20 of 2021. It was enacted by the CSC, or the Chinese State Council, with the main purpose to regulate China's private tutorial industry, including the online companies. Tayo yun. Has 16 pages. The main objectives are to create balance in education, lessen the pressures from parents, and to promote students' holistic and healthy growth.
Okay, so this is all about the policy 720. Now, I want to discuss about the specific provisions that have direct impact to the ESL community. Okay, so the first one is the tutorial sectors must register as a non-profit organizations. So all tutorial sectors, okay, must register as non-profit organizations. Paano yun nakaka-apekto negatively sa mga ESL companies? Ngayon kasi, ang mga tutorial sectors are profit organizations. So when we say profit organizations, kumikita sila ng pera, no? Nagre-return yung kanilang mga investments. So, si investor, mag-invest, may return yon. So, kailangan gagawin nila is to, ask money from their students para may return of investment. So, when you say non-profit, syempre, like UNICEF and Red Cross na, they don't earn, they don't profit from their investment. So, kapag magpa-register ka na ngayon, like for example, 512 or ACADSOC will register as non-profit organizations, sino ba namang investors ang mag-i-invest na wala naman palang return ang kanyang investment? Right? So, ang mangyayari nito, the investors will no longer be investing their money into these kinds of companies. Or yung mga dating mga investors, magpupull out na sila ngayon ng mga investments, and eventually, companies will close. Okay? So kapag wala ng companies, ano mangyayari sa atin? Ng mga empleyado? Definitely, mawawalan tayo ng trabaho. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one proposed a more scientific use of after class time. Okay, scientific use of after class time. Ibang klase nila is from 8 to 5, 8 to 3 yung minsan, mga iba 8 to 4, diba? So, karaniwan, ang picture kasi ng mga bata ngayon, no, ng households ngayon, after ng klase ng mga anak nila, they enroll their children to tutorial services, okay, or to the tutorial sectors, katulad natin, na mag-aaral sila from 6 to 9, from 6 to 10 yung mga iba, right? So, wala na silang time to rest. Just imagine, parang yung time na lang nila is to eat and breathe a little bit. Then afterwards, they will study. After they study English, ang gagawin nila, magagawa sila ng mga homework. Because ang dami nilang mga homeworks. Anong oras na lang sila matutulog? Diba? Okay, and then that's the same thing that will happen the next day. And Also, yung mga parents na hapong-hapo sa maghapong trabaho, they need to guide their kids or their children while they are studying. Okay, so ngayon, ang sabi ng policy na to, ngayon, alisin natin yon. Ang gagawin ninyo, turuan niyo yung mga anak ninyo sa mga gawaing bahay, mga household chores, pag paglinis, paglaba, pag-wash ng dishes, pagluluto, those kind of things. Okay? And I think those will help, yung holistic growth ng bata. Right? According to them. Okay? Or kaya nga under this provision, sinasabi nila na hindi na allowed ngayon ang isang bata na mag-aral or magpa-tutor ng more than 30 minutes. So, 25 minutes na lang ang allowed. O medyo pwede pa, no? Pwede pa yon kasi ang classes natin 25 minutes, right? So, lower yon ng 30 minutes. So, that is still okay. No, meron pa rin tayong isang class with right? And dapat hindi na sila mag-aaral after 9 p.m. So yung mga bata, yung mga estudyante ninyo nag-aaral pa rin hanggang 10 p.m., hindi na siya allowed under this policy. Okay? At hindi na rin sila pwedeng mag-aral during Saturdays and Sundays, holidays, ganyan, mga vacations, ganyan. So, they're no longer allowed to study. That is under this provision. The third one is enlargement of the use of public resources. So, papasok na ngayon dito ang Ministry of Education. Okay. So, mostly talaga dito sa provision na to, sinasabi na dapat ang mga schools magkaroon na sila ng custodian services. Ano itong custodian services na to? Meaning, yung mga bata, they could stay sa school muna while they're waiting for their parents and merong mag-aalaga sa kanila doon. Okay, that is a free service from the school, being shouldered upon, of course, by the government. So kukuha ngayon sila ng ibang service, ibang tao, to give this kind of service. Okay, so makikialam na dito ang Minister of Education. Another one is that the government will have its own online learning already. Okay, and by doing so, the Minister of Education will regulate or will make sure that the materials that they will be using, yung mga books na gagamitin nila, mga materials na gagamitin nila sa online learning na yan, ay naka-align doon sa government curriculum or the Minister of Education's curriculum. Okay? So, hindi na pwedeng gumamit ng ibang materials ang mga bata during the online learning, kundi yung mga ibibigay na lang ng government. So, the government will provide these kinds of materials. So, they have to regulate these materials just the same. And of course, the curriculum that is being implemented, how to teach, these kids. Ano mangyayari ngayon? Ang mangyayari ngayon sa atin, since we are using different books or different materials, hindi na tayo allowed gawin yon. Because we need to follow kung ano yung ginagamit ng government. Well, for me, as a curriculum developer, I think that is just fine. Kasi ang dami-daming mga Chinese companies right now na iba't iba ang ginagamit nating curriculum. Okay? Iba't iba. Iba't iba din yung ginagamit nating mga materials, right? In our company, in my company, we are actually using the Cambridge and the Oxford curriculum and books because our focus is more on Cambridge certificate, English certificate exams like the PET, the KET, the FCE, IELTS, something like that. Yun ang focus namin. Kaya we are using the Cambridge and the Oxford books, which is sad to say, hindi talaga naka-align sa curriculum ng China. Because iba ang curriculum na ginagamit nila as compared to what the curriculum we are using. So,
Pero ngayon, ang gagawin nila is to regulate the curriculum, right? They have to provide their own materials, okay? And according to some, this is one way of preserving their cultures, na? Kasi nga, di ba, puro mga British books na yung mga ginagamit nila or mga American books na yung mga ginagamit nila. It seems that they are already going away from their culture. They think like that. Okay. So that is for the public resources. Okay? Yeah, because this is very critical kasi, right? Because this is the parang pagmumold mo ng foundation ng isang bata. Imagine 3 years old to 5 years old hinahandle na ng iba ng mga foreigners ang mga anak nila, right? So, kumbaga parang they are adopting a different culture. So maybe this is also one na medyo natatakot sila, 'di ba? Kasi yung foundation ng mga bata, sabi nila leave them alone. So ito talaga we are prohibited to handle them. Okay? So wala na tayong mga ganyan. All right? Okay? So those are actually the specific provisions no under this policy na affected tayo. Ngayon, ang tanong, ano kaya yung mga maaaring mangyari, 'di ba? If this policy will be fully implemented. So I want to discuss three things, no? Possible scenarios na mangyayari. Okay. So the first one is, of course, business as usual. So ESL companies can carry on as usual with few alterations. Okay? May mga few alterations na mangyayari. First, definitely, mawawala ang mga preschoolers. Wala muna. Wala muna mga bata. Okay? You're not yet allowed, to be enrolled, no, in our companies. Tapos, malilesen yung class time because according to the provision, like sinabi ko sa inyo kanina, 30 less than 30 minutes lang ang allowed sa kanila. And of course, wala na beyond 9 o'clock. Okay? And then, focus on adult programs. Okay? Or adult programs. So, ang mangyayari niyan, no? Dito na tayo lahat sa mga adult programs for now. Okay? So, let's try to observe the leaves na sinasabi nila. Like, the president said to me kanina na actually sa mga maliliit na companies, no, yung mga hindi well-known, like sa amin na meron lang kami mga lower than 100 na teachers, hindi namin mararamdaman. Business as usual kami, no? Kasi nga, mas maliit naman yung company as compared to the well-known companies, no, like Akadsoft, ABC 360, VIP Kids, no, 51 Talk, mga to kilala na companies. So sila ang makikita ko na mas magkakaroon ng malaking negative impact, no, as far as this policy is concerned. Okay, so yun ang mangyayari, the possible scenario. Another possible scenario is that ESL companies will be closed. Okay, magkakaroon ng mga contract endings, okay? And definitely there will be a losing of jobs. Okay, mawawalan ng trabaho ang karamihang mga teachers. Whether we accept it or not, more than half of the Philippine ESL teachers population ay nagtuturo ng mga Chinese. Okay? Siguro mga kalahati lang ang mga nagtuturo sa ibang companies. Karamihan talaga, ang mga kinikater natin, mga tinuturuan natin ay mga Chinese. Right? So, malaking impact ito sa ating kabuhayan if this will happen. Another one, okay, would be a gradual transitioning. Maaaring magkaroon ng gradual transitioning. Sa ngayon, because siyam pa naman ang pilot study nila, no? Okay, and then eventually siguro sa kanila lang i-fully implement. With maybe some alterations kasi 'di ba kailangan muna na pag-aralan mabuti. Okay? So there is a gradual transitioning. So hindi
basta-basta na ura-urada na. Okay, ngayon, i-close na natin ang 5-1 talk or i-close na natin ang ACADSOC. Lahat ng teachers, ma-determinate na. Hindi. No? I think it will not happen that way. Kundi, magkakaroon ng gradual transitioning. Maybe sa ngayon, aalisin mo na yung mga bonuses and incentives ninyo. Okay? Or di kaya madideload yung iba, madidemote yung iba, na ngayon talaga ang matibay, matira talaga ang magaling. Right? Kasi pag kukunti na lang yung supply, right, at ang dami-dami ng demand, mangyayari niyan kung ano na lang yung malalakas, survival of the fittest, kung sino yung mga lalakas, yung mga may skills, yung mga magagaling, sila talaga ang magstay. So there will be stiff competition already among teachers. Okay? Regulation of teaching materials, curriculum, salaries, and benefits. So magkakaroon ngayon ng regulation ng teaching materials. I don't know if the Chinese government will allow the materials that we are using, or they want to revise or want to force na gamitin natin yung kanilang mga materials at kanilang mga curriculum, or gagawa tayo ng sarili nating curriculum na naka-align doon pa rin sa curriculum ng China. So these three would be the possible scenarios, okay, na pwedeng mangyari. So I divide some contingency plans na pwedeng nating i-adapt, no? Okay? So, the first is be the best that you can be. Pwede kang sigurong na-demote ngayon or na-deload ka na ngayon. So, dahil dyan, nagalit ka na. Sabi mo, ba't ako na-demote na ako? From this, ganito na ngayon yung level ko na teacher, tapos dinemote ako na ganito, I will not do my best anymore. Or na-deload ka, I will not do my best anymore. Okay, speaking as a manager, right now, I am trying to observe, diba? I am going back to the records of my teachers. So, binabasa ko na yung mga records nila. Why? Because like sabi ko nga, ang contingency plan ko naman as a manager, if worst comes to worst, no? Of course, I need to see who are the best teachers, no? Who are actually the ones excelling, and they will be the last one to go. So, kahit sabihin natin na in the past, you've been a very good, or you were a very good teacher, right? Tapos, ngayon, dahil sa nangyayari, na-deload ka, na-demote ka, relax ka konti, or nawalan ka ng gana, hindi mo na inayos, that will definitely affect your standing sa company later on. Diba? So, magkakaroon ka na ng mga negative feedback, or hindi na magiging maganda yung rating mo. So, isa ka na sa malalet go. Okay? That's what I'm doing right now. Okay? I'm trying to see. Because, and then I'm trying now to look for my best teachers. If ever, may mangyaring hindi maganda, at least I already know na, okay, this one will go, this will be the second batch, the third batch, and they will have to stay. Okay? And then develop other skills. Okay, the second one, okay, is to develop other skills, such as teaching adults and other standardized tests. Ngayon, hindi under the policy, hindi nila pinakialaman ang mga adults. So they can still go on learning English. Okay. Hindi rin nila pinakialaman ang mga standardized tests like IELTS and TOEFL and Duolingo and these kinds of exams. Okay, so these are still, there, business as usual. Okay, so kung wala ka pang skills, like most of the time sa experience mo as an ESL teacher, you've been handling kids and you are so expert, in dealing with kids. Iba kasi ito yung strategy that you are going to use when you are teaching a kid as to that when you are teaching an adult. Right? Ibang-iba. Kasi kung gagamitin mo yung strategy mo sa kid at gagamitin mo sa adult, baka iba-block ka ng estudyante mo, right? Huwag kang maging entertainer sa isang estudyante mo. So, it's different, especially for the standardized exams, such as the IELTS and TOEFL. Ibang-iba ito. So you really need to develop these kinds of skills also. Kasi ito ang mag-stay. They will stay. And definitely, ang projection ngayon ng mga companies is to enhance and develop these programs sa kanilang curriculum. Okay? And then you may want, to develop to become a writer, a content and an essay writer. Okay? So pwede mo siyang gamitin na kasi may mga um, essay writing din, right? Okay? So pwede mong i-develop na maging content writer ka or maging essay writer ka. Or maging okay kasi editing and proofreading. Kasi sa mga IELTS writing, may mga companies na ganyan like English Partners, no, that they have a department, that lahat ng mga estudyante nila ay mga nag-enroll just for proofreading ng kanilang mga IELTS essays. Okay? So they are actually earning from it also. Look for a part-time job which is not from Chinese companies. Okay? So you try to look for a part-time job na hindi siya Chinese company. Now, if you don't want, kung gusto mo ng win-win solution, you don't want to, kasi di ba wala naman tayo, we are very uncertain. Nandito tayo ngayon sa part na we are so uncertain of what will happen in the next days to come. Right? So, ang gagawin mo, sabihin mo na, oh, I really love Akadso. I really love 5-1 Talk. I really love VIP English or Odada ABC. I love this company. So, I couldn't leave this company by now. Okay? So, if that's your thinking, like for example, you really love that company, then just fine. Okay? So, you try to look for a part-time job na hindi na siya Chinese company. Pwedeng Korean companies, Japanese companies, okay, European companies, Middle East companies, these kinds of companies, and daming mga company. The next one is change, of course, of profession. Ang mga call center ngayon, they already have home-based work. Content writers, ang dami. I will also be discussing that later on. May mga proofreader, madami din. No? I've been working for being a content writer and a proofreader for a long, long time already. Okay, so until now, I'm still doing it, okay, as my, pastime. And then or maybe you try to establish your own business. Or maybe if you want to be a stockbroker, that's just fine. Okay? Like me. All right, so you can be a stockbroker also if you want. Okay? So these are actually the contingency plans that I have in mind. Okay, which I can share it to all of you. Maybe sa next na video ko, I will be discussing what are these companies na pwede ninyong applyan. Ngayon, of course, ang pinaka-importante is to trust in God. Okay? We pray hard na sana hindi tayo masyadong maapektuhan ng policy na to. Right? Especially now that it's pandemic, you really need also to watch your mental health. No? Huwag kayong paapekto na ganito yung nangyayari. No? Okay? Katulad nga ng sinasabi ko, lahat ay control ng Panginoon. No? And if you pray hard about it, miracle will happen. Is this permanent? Is this temporary? Definitely is not permanent. Okay? It's just temporary. Alam ko, ang mga companies natin are actually trying hard, no, to do something para mais natin or matry natin masolusyonan kung ano man yung pwede namin gawin. Para sa ganun, ang business at ang pagtulong sa mga teachers ay nandito pa rin. Okay? Hindi siya mag-stop. Alright? So, don't worry, companies are actually trying their best, not, to harm the teachers, but to help the teachers. So, that's all for tonight, guys. Okay, thank you for your time. And I really hope that you will be watching my next video. My next video, I will be discussing yung mga ibang mga work na pwede natin gawin habang naghihintay tayo kung ano mangyayari.
sa polisiya na to. Okay? That's it, guys. Thank you. Okay? And God bless. Bye-bye.